Chapter 14, Problem 3. We're going to try to go ahead and use linear programming to figure out what the cheapest way to transfer 3 out of the 5 people to the new cities, okay? So only 3 of these people are going to be taken. So we have to decide what's going to be the cheapest way to move whom. I got to tell you this right off the bat. I picked out the answer without using all this software. It was quite easy, right? I just looked at who would be cheapest to go to Gary, Indiana. That's Doug. Who would be cheapest to Salt Lake City? That was Emery. Who would be cheapest to Fresno? That would be Emery as well, but since she's going to Salt Lake City, that'd be $1,000 cheaper. So we don't use Emery. We simply go to the next highest one, and that would be Arlene. So just eyeballing it, Doug goes to Gary, Indiana. Emery goes to Salt Lake City, Utah. Arlene goes to Fresno, California. And that is the correct answer. But here comes the hard part. We're going to do this using Excel. I shouldn't have said hard part. This does get easier with practice. Practice, practice, practice. Okay, so first thing I did was this. Okay, so this column right here is they're all going to be zeros or one. A one means yes, they're going. A zero means no, they're not going. Okay, so these are all zeros or ones. These have to be ones, right? One person's going to Gary, Indiana. One person's going to Salt Lake City. One person's going to Fresno. So these have to be ones. Here's our restraints. Okay. When I add all of these rows up this way, it has to be a 0 or a 1. That's true for every one of these rows. This has to be a 0 or a 1 when I add them up. So every one of these cells here, X11, X12, X13, and how these guys got their name is row first, column second. So this number right here would be row 3, column 2. That's why it's got an X32. This one, X52, is row 5, column 2. That's just how I set them up. Okay. But here's the constraints for these guys going row totals. For column totals down here, here's the constraints. They can only sum to 1. Okay, so that means there's going to be a 1 in each column. Everything else is going to be a 0. And I need to minimize this, right? It's going to be a sum product. I'm going to take the first cell up here, which is either going to be a 0 or 1, times the $8,500. That's what it costs to move Arlene. I'm going to take this cell, which is this one, which is going to be a 0 or a 1, and I'm going to multiply it by the cost to move Arlene to Salt Lake City, et cetera, all the way across. So now comes the fun stuff. We're going to go ahead and put it in the solver. A-solving we will go, a-solving we will go. Here we go. Okay, so I got some blank cells here. So this is going to be our main matrix box right here. Okay, we're going to go ahead and pretend they're all zeros in the beginning. We need to pick this cell. It's going to be a sum total for this row. Let me get this on the screen for you. Hold on. I think that fits. So you pick that cell, you go to auto sum, and it's already preset. We're going to add row wise. Enter. I'm going to go ahead and copy this all the way down. Okay. That takes care of our row totals. We're going to do the same down here. We're going to get column totals. We're going to do auto sum, going all the way down, does it automatically. And we're going to copy that all the way across. This is what gave me such a headache. I know this has to be 3. If I add this way, it has to be 3, right? Because there's 1, 2, 3, right? There's one person going to each of the cities, so that has to be 3. But this is the key. This should be the sum of this column here. Okay? And that's going to be one of our constraints because that's got to be a 3. All right, so let's make sure we got everything going here. We have this as a sum total, sum total, sum total. Row total, row total, row total, good, good, good. And this is the final row total. Okay, so I'm going to pick a cell. I'm going to equal sum product. And of course it didn't show up, but let's just retype it. Sum product. Okay, so the first array is the cost. Don't forget your comma. The second array is going to be our yeses or nos, or ones or zeros. Close parentheses equals. Okay. Now we need to go into the solver. Let's go to the data tab. Okay, we're in solver. First thing, we have to pick our objective cell, and that's the one right there. By changing the variable values, that's our zeros or ones, right? Hopefully the software will change it into a 0 or 1. Very important. Click this minimize button. Again, that was a major mistake on my part. I forgot one little button, and it gave me hours of pain. All right, but let's type in our constraints. First constraint I know is this cell right there has to be a 3. So we're going to go add. Oh, there it is. Okay, I know that this cell, click your cursor in there, that cell has to equal 3. No questions about it. Add. Next cell, let's see. These guys all have to be either a 1 or a 0. Okay, so less than or equal to 1. Add. I know that these cells all have to equal 1. Every one of them has to equal a 1. 1. And, oops. And then the last one is all of our zeros or ones have to be what we call binary. So binary, that was in the book. The software automatically knows to put a 1 or a 0. Click OK. Let's take a quick look at it again. Hold on, it keeps disappearing on me. So we got the target cell correct. We got the changing cells, zeros or ones correct. And we have all our constraints in there. They all look all right. This guy should probably be on linear, simplex linear. So let's cross our fingers and see what we get. Ta-da! And then we got the right answer. Yay! Okay, we're going to go ahead and keep that. So, and it should identify who's going where. And it does, right? Arlene's going to Fresno. That's what we picked the first time. Let me put some color in there for you. And Doug is going to Gary, Indiana. And Emery is going to Salt Lake City. So that agrees with our original one. But that's it. So please do your best. Send it to me. It's been a fun 8 weeks. Learned a lot myself. MGZ out.